Hey, people. Intravenous II review, Collateral edition, by SsethTzeentach.
Hey, people. Seth here. Considering I'm recording from the Balkan equivalent of City 17, the quality of this video may be just as bad as anything else I release. There's a rare coincidence that happens once in almost never. A publisher approaches me to cover something that I'm already reviewing. Developed by a single man in Lithuania, Intravenous II is one of the best tactical shooters I've ever played. Many of the events presume you've played Intravenous I, which isn't a problem because he remastered the whole thing in the second engine. So we start from there by playing the first game inside the second game, or else it doesn't make sense.
I mean, so I have a lot of respect for that. That's some dedication. I can't imagine a modern AAA or quadruple A studio that would do that, right? I mean, even with like looking at Pokemon, right? Where it's like, I mean, they're kind of loosely connected and stuff. That's like Nintendo remastering Pokemon Fire Red to be on like the Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet engine. Like, you just don't see that happening. I mean, yeah, for the continuity's sake, absolutely. But the dev didn't have to, and the fact that he did, I have respect for.
Steve is a normal man living in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in an alternative history where Lithuania has reached the Bronze Age. Polish innovation has endowed them with working toilets and knowledge of coal-based energy. Aesthetically and thematically, this game is colostomy core. After a night of heavy drinking, Steve walks through a shady alleyway with his brother before being attacked by junkies. His brother goes into a coma and dies the following night. The police find nothing, so Steve decides to take matters into his own hands. Welcome to Intravenous. You're outgunned and outnumbered. Everything makes a sound, and a single unsuppressed trigger pull is loud enough to alert the entire level. So, unless you want your chest ventilated, you better be quiet. Druggy Ghetto, also known as My Car Park in East England. The first level serves as a tutorial to get your bearings. Arguably, normal difficulty is a 10-hour tutorial before you're ready to play the actual game.
Okay.
Mouse wheel controls your movement speed, allowing you to instantly change across different stances. The faster you are, the more sound you make. At free notches, we're a good compromise, and able to get the jump on enemies. Don't fall for my mistake. Notches 1 and 2 are marginally better, but the only reason you'd use them is if you're wearing Kevlar in a plate carrier, in which case, you're not going to make it. Approaching someone from behind lets you perform a stealth takedown. Pressing E chokes them out, which can transition to snapping their neck with Q, or you can just cut their throat. This is much quicker, but makes them bleed out, which is a problem, as we often have to dispose of the evidence by dragging their body. And a blood.
So I actually really like this. I've always liked assassination mechanics. Like Resident Evil, technically Hunk had it in Resident Evil 4's Mercenaries, right? Original RE4. RE5 expanded on that with the RE5 Mercenaries, where you have Chris does the neck snap, Sheva does the... what did Sheva do? I think Sheva did the throat slit. Wesker... I don't even remember what Wesker did. It's been way too long since I've actually played RE5 Wesker in Mercenaries. Jill... jumped up, acrobated on top of somebody's shoulders, and twisted her thighs to the side, snapping their neck. Point being, I've actually always liked assassination mechanics like this, and I think that's really cool, especially because you have the modularity of the choke out approach or the red paint bleed out approach, right? I don't know why I tried censoring that when I clearly just didn't. Anyways, I think it's good though. I think that's really cool. You have a modularity to kind of play the game in the way that you want to. It's not something that a lot of modern games do.
Corpse leaves a bloody trail. You could choose to leave him unconscious at your discretion, which is incredibly noble, unless things go south and their friends find the bodies, wake them up, and undo all of your efforts. In a Steve campaign, there's no reason to spare anyone, so I usually stack up the bodies and make up a backstory for why they should live or die. He didn't choose this life. He probably has a family. He paid $10,000 for a commission of Tali Zora Vas Normandy, inflated, larger than the solar system.
Nice!
Hiding bodies is a fine art. Dark alleyways conceal your wet work. Dumpsters work in plain sight. But the most functional and reusable of all is the humble toilet. You're telling me every building has a room with one door and no windows? Excellent. Ledges and fences can be vaulted by pressing space, or holding shift as you run towards them. The same goes for windows, but breaking them creates a lot of noise. They facilitate movement, but being waist high, they give up your position as well. Ventilation shafts are completely silent and let you navigate around buildings. Doors are deceptively creaky, but don't actually make any noise when opening or closing, except when you bash them open. Timing this with a passing patrol is an instant knockout. Enemies will leave their patrol route and investigate if they hear or spot something suspicious.
I think that's super interesting. I think doors are kind of a weird thing because, I mean, different games handle different things, right? I've been RE4 original, you could actually break the doors, right? You could shoot through the doors. Eventually, you could actually make the door crumble in on itself, right? In the RE engine, doors are no longer destructible. And I think that was one of those weird isms coming from older RE4 into modern RE4 remake that, like, it was interesting to think about, and it might just be how the RE engine... Also, all doors are double hinged, right? Like, you can swing them inwards, you can swing them outwards. Every single door is double hinged as well. That's done for gameplay purposes. I like... It's small, right? And I like looking at these small details like this developer did, where, sure, you could argue, well, doors are deceptively creaky. Opening a door is going to cause noise, but no, not necessarily unless you slam open the door. Therefore, the action of slamming open the door, opening it in a hurry, is going to create the noise, and then thus that will match the noise, to which you can also, a well-timed slam open will actually knock out someone on the other side. I like that. Most other games wouldn't go that far. It was just, oh, this is a door. Or you'll have this game where, like, you kick RE5 status, right? Resident Evil 5. You'll kick open a red door in, like, Kijuju, and the Magini on the other side of it is just maybe, like, I don't know, they maybe, like, move on, like, the Z axis backwards as the door, like, is kicked open, right? Maybe they get, like, animation stunned or something like that. But this is a level of detail I don't see in a lot of games, and I'm really a fan of this.
This can be both a nuisance and an opportunity to lure them into the open. For example, I can leave a door open, switch off the lights, and hide in the closet. When a junkie comes to investigate the open door, he notices the dark room and tries to find the light switch. As he passes by, I burst through the closet, drag him to the bathroom, and curb stomp his face. However, most situations aren't so ideal. When there's no cover to be found, press Control to go prone. You can't attack while prone, but the trade-off is drastically reduced detection. Combine this by crawling under a bush in some darkness, and you're almost invisible. Provided you're right below them, you can also slide past security cameras. If you're ever unsure of how much noise you're making or how much light is on your character, you can always check the indicators on the bottom left. C is a non-lethal pistol whip. Holstering your weapon with H switches you to the best silent weapon in the game, Steve's ripped up, roided out body. Punching an enemy from behind is an instant knockout. 2 if you surprise them from the front or sides. Right click is a kick, which you can abuse by camping doors. Just be warned, enemies can also do it. Steve searches the drug den, but doesn't find anyone who killed his brother. This marks the...
Oh my god, this was floating around on, it was this exact image. I remember it now. I don't know if this is Asengold's room or not. This exact image was floating around on Twitter recently, and it had the subtext of just like, if you showed up to her apartment or showed up to her room and it looked like this, would you still be in? And I sent this to a couple friends, and all of us are just like, no. And I'm just like, but hear me out. You take all the sodas on the desk over there, and all the not quite finished sodas, and you combine them into a single soda. You make the Omega soda. To which the response was, I don't know. I'm one to talk. My room is definitely not clean. It's usually cluttered. Whether that's I'm looking at the top of my dresser right now, and I have a bunch of Eldara I still have to magnetize, right, for Warhammer, or card projects, or equipment like for cameras and stuff, or just out and about. Food is one of those that I can't do it. Like, I can't leave food out. Now, I had some gummy sharks that I got from Winco, and but those were in a bag, and it was on a thing. It's okay, it's fine, it's whatever. I can't leave a soda out. I can't leave a plate. I think, oh my god, what is that to the right of my head? Is that ribs or something in that that paper bowl? Oh, this room gives me some heebie-jeebies.
This marks the main structure of a mission. Enter the scene, confront your target, and exfiltrate. Revenge is expensive, and we need money. Along the way, you can find secondary objectives, such as schematics, loose cash, jewelry, compromising material, and cryptocurrency. Unfortunately, every crypto wallet is at the end of its pump and dump, and every chat log only incriminates a low-tier Minecraft YouTuber at best. You might also encounter the Mini Uzi. If you want new guns for later missions, you have to exfiltrate with them first. Explanation: you're doing illegal shit, so you probably need an unregistered weapon with a scrubbed serial number. There's unique weapons across every level, and it's a matter of personal preference.
What was that?
Weapon with a scrubbed serial number. There's unique weapons across every...
What is that? Is that an I don't know what that is. Uzi comes to mind, but I have no idea what it is.
Level, and it's a matter of personal preference. But I do hope that one day you'll discover the joys of a Ruger MK4. Master gave Dobby the blicky with a switch. Dobby is now a free elf. This is a good time to mention that Zed automatically loots ammunition, and Tilda lets you cycle between different varieties for your current weapon. In this case, between standard 9mm and positive P over pressure. Reloading with R doesn't magically save bullets. It throws out your current magazine on the floor and replaces it with whatever you have.
So I like that. I mean, it's similar to the Helldiver system, right? And other games as well, where yes, if you reload, Ready or Not as well too, right? Because you can toss away the mag. Like, you lose everything in that magazine. I mean, obviously, for like gameplay reasons, right? And especially in games like Destiny, right? It's like, okay, cool. Like, just reload the thing. Call of Duty, I think, has it as well. It really comes down to whatever the game is trying to do. I do like systems where you do forfeit the rest of a magazine, but I see how that's a different, it requires, it's a different skill set and a different mentality versus something that's just like, oh, well, you have 180 rounds, you have 30 rounds in your current magazine, you use 21 of those current rounds, therefore you're just going to reload and you reload back to 30, therefore if you use only 21, you're -9, so you have like 171 rounds left, right? Like, I think it can be utilized. Should it be utilized in every single game? No, I don't think so. I do think that if the game plays into it, and it does play into certain design decisions like this, I do think it can be a great positive here. I also love the presentation on the monitors here.
No time to hand load ammunition. The magazine will make more of an echo to indicate how close you are to going dry. For added control, Alt cycles your fire mode. This is especially important to higher caliber rifles, where recoil will kill you before the enemy. Progress is kept by saves. These are limited permission, and you unlock more.
Is there a safe on that? I couldn't see.
Cycles your fire mode.
No, that's actually one of the things I was really critical about Ready or Not for getting rid of, because Ready or Not, you used to be able to put your weapon in safe, but it was a redundant design decision because you don't necessarily need to have your weapon on safe. However, I wasn't a fan when they removed it. I think it really kind of, because they're trying to go for that simulation aspect, but right, intent of the game, right? Ready or Not is more that kind of simulated kind of like SWAT game, right? So removing something like the safety kind of takes me a little bit out of it, because while it is a redundant game feature, while it serves no real actual purpose in game from a reasonable standpoint, it's not as immersive to me now.
Especially important to higher caliber rifles, where recoil will kill you before the enemy. Progress is kept by saves. These are limited permission, and you unlock more as you progress or reach a checkpoint. Honestly, I love the system. It forces you to live with your decisions and keep going. I've had some of the most fun just because I couldn't go back on my mistakes. Pro tip, I got really frustrated with how I had to manually name each save file, which would reset after checkpoints. Turns out, I'm a knuckle dragger and had no reason to do that, because F5 quick saves and F9 quick loads. Steve returns home empty-handed and receives an anonymous phone call, which isn't very anonymous at all because I can see their portrait. They call themselves the Accomplice, even though I can clearly see this is Kurt Cobain. They claim that they've also lost loved ones and the police have done nothing about it, offering Steve their assistance in tracking down those responsible, and also access to a Jabka warehouse with enough guns to scare the ATF. This is incredibly convenient, but I'm not complaining, because now we have access to loadouts. All the money you collect from missions can be spent on tools and weapon attachments.
So I was actually talking about, unironically, that the other day. The conversation became how, especially in what I do, you have to be careful about what you say. Like, for instance, if I were to say something along the lines of, just say, frustration with certain thing. It's like, sometimes good men just do some really bad things. Suddenly, I'm going to have somebody asking, so, do you have access to a tractor and or bulldozer kit? And I'm like, oh my God, please no. Please no. But that's kind of, it's kind of in the same vein of just like, why do you have the ability to fund a medium-sized militia?
ATF
sweats nervously.
upgrade is a one-time cost, so you don't have to worry about dropping them in the field. According to the accomplice, one of the men that killed his brother was spotted on CCTV. After 34 days of intense training, Steve deploys to his next mission. You can choose anything you want for a loadout, but here's a recommendation. Guns are loud, and the only thing that comes close to silent is the Brugger and Fomet VP9. It's integrally suppressed. The original use was to put down sick animals, but it works on people too. It's chambered in 9mm subsonic. The only problem is the lack of ammunition. However, we can switch our mini Uzi to 9mm subsonic as well, giving us an extra 64 pulls of a trigger. Why do I like this gun? Because it's a one-shot silent kill from behind. But primarily, we won't be popping heads, just light bulbs, because once you hit tab, darkness becomes your best friend. No matter the loadout, night vision goggles are standard issue. Enemies might have flashlights, but they can't see in the dark. For gadgets, I take the HSR EMP to glitch out cameras without suspicion, the taser for non-lethal takedowns at range, and a throwing knife, because I give up my non-lethal run halfway into each mission. Aside from this, I take a Kevlar plate. It's not that noisy, and each time you forget you're wearing it, you'll be glad you remembered. To be clear, this is the difference between dying from 2 bullets instead of 1, but hey, every little bit counts. Additionally, armor lets you heal off damage. Red is your actual health. Getting shot turns it to yellow, which is potential health if you take a moment to recover. Please note, in the middle of combat, you do not have this luxury. The music gives you context clues to how you're doing. If you're incognito, it's calm and peaceful. It gets tense if a level is starting to get suspicious, and the moment an unsuppressed round is fired, the trap goes loud. Also, Steve knows.
That's actually a really good use of audio design, right? Like, I mean, we've all had those games where it's like the music is like blaring loud, like Skyrim status, right? Where you have like, I don't know, like the combat music going, and you're looking around, and you're just like, is it a mud crab? Is the dragon just where? Doko desu ka? And you're just like, you have no idea what's going on. Or other games where it's like the music is inappropriate. Like, let's say you have like, I don't know, climbing a ladder, Metal Gear Solid style, right? You're climbing a very long ladder, and then it's like, I don't know, let's say it's like some hard like Doom rock tempo, right? Do you think that necessarily works? Not really. Then you have things like Doom, right, where it's, you know, just hard rock as you're ripping and tearing demons, right? Like, it's a very very, what's the word? Not reasonable. It makes sense, right? It makes sense that the usage is the way that it is. And we, once again, this is kind of like a intuited, whatever, common sense kind of thing. But it's really good when you see people and devs have a cognizance of how certain things can affect things. Now, you can absolutely have things that break the norm. I was watching Courage the Cowardly Dog recently. Yes, show, not game, but the point still stands. The Doc Gerbil episode with the boat scene, how there was nothing but music. There were no sound effects during the boat scene. It was just the musical track. Very interesting choice, and it ended up paying off, in my opinion. Is that the first choice? Is that what people would logically default to? No, but it can be done artistically. So you can absolutely have exceptions to these rules. Absolutely. I think that this is one of those that you play it, and it makes sense, and it's additive to the user experience on top of other things like having your fire selector, and I'm sure other things that Seth is going to mention as well. I'm very much liking this.
How to pick locks now. This is called character development. It's fairly fast and silent, but you're vulnerable in the process. If you're in a hurry, you could choose to break the lock instead, making a bunch of noise in the process. Most locks are indoors, but there's also breaker boxes that let you kill the lights for an entire building. Unlike broken lights, power outages don't arouse suspicion, but they do force patrols to walk outside and flip back the breaker, during which time you can sneak inside or incapacitate them. The mission goes without a hitch. We find one of our brother's killers who leaks the location of another. First, we make sure he's telling the truth. Then, we ventilate him. We fail to find him, but stumble on his dealer, who says he's getting his supply from a serious operation by the nickname Shopkeeper. Following our second lead to a port warehouse, we find the man who started all this, the one who ordered the attack on you and your brother. After a heartfelt recollection, we send him straight to hell. Surprisingly, this doesn't improve Steve's mental health. The kill sends Steve into a rage, as as he intravenously injects 50cc trenbolone acetate directly into his cock vein. This event unlocks his special perk, Die Hard. Whenever you're outnumbered in a gunfight, your adrenaline kicks in and you go into slow-mo. Usually, this triggers at the worst possible time. So, not only do you have to die, you have to watch it in slow motion.
Oh, no.
Steve is understandably traumatized. I can relate to this. When I was 15, I landed on the dark web, and I saw so many Chinese industrial accidents that it left an impression on me. This is the equivalent of Illidan taking in the Eye of Sargeras. I was awakened to things I shouldn't know. Or maybe
my
I'm
God.
overreacting, as everybody else took it differently. My friends would see a man cooked to a crisp from touching a live electrical wire, and send me a one-line response on Skype.
Nice.
Nerve gas. Unsatisfied, Steve vows to take down as many drug
It's. I shouldn't laugh. It's so dark.
peddlers as possible, with the help of his trusty accomplice. Once we pursue the shopkeeper, the game reaches its highest complexity. This is no longer low-end drug trafficking. This is organized crime. Accordingly, we don't have random goons. We have security details with Kevlar and automatic weapons. There's cameras everywhere, magnetic key cards for checkpoints, and every person on the map is radioed in. If a
Okay, so here's your difficulty escalation, right? Now your enemies have Kevlar. Now their weapons are a higher tier, right? They can fire faster and they can fire more at you. Right? It's a reasonable difficulty spike, right? It's not like other games that have been like, oh, well, this is the more difficult version, and it's just like, here, now you're literally fighting the sponge, right? Like, game difficulty is so interesting. Video Game Donkey has a couple videos on it. Video game balancing and difficulty are definitely hot topics and have been for a number of years. But like this makes sense. This is a difficulty progression, right? It's like playing Dark Souls, say Dark Souls 1, right? And you're going through and you fight was it Stray Demon, the first boss, or you ignore it, go get your weapon, plunging attack it, and finish it off. But by towards the end of the game, you're fighting things like Gwyn, Lord of Cinder. Going into the DLC, you're having to fight things like Artorias and Manus, right? Like there's a clear escalation. Some bosses are going to be easier. Some bosses are going to be gimmicks. Looking at you, Beta Chaos. I don't like you, Beta Chaos. I don't think anybody likes Beta Chaos. But like, I think that this is in a similar vein. Like the difficulty progression is there, right? Line does go up, but it also makes sense.
they say a single word, the entire level is on lockdown. Stealth is heavily encouraged. In fact, it's your only option. You're playing the real game now, and there's nothing left to teach you. So let's finish up the story. Shopkeeper handles production, or at least he used to. Baker is responsible for distribution. However, he's the only one who expresses any remorse for his actions and promises a favor if you let him go. This is the one and only choice to spare someone in the first game, and I recommend you take it. Finishing your vengeance spree, you return to the peace of your domestic life and watch slop on TV. Then your apartment gets broken into by several hitmen sent to kill you. Despite the length of it, this is easily one of my favorite missions. Also, the song is a banger. The last one alive tips you off that he got the job from Empathetic. Shopkeeper, Baker, Empathetic. Everyone in this game works off ridiculous nicknames. What's next? Candyman? Sugar? Quasimodo? You try to call Accomplice for answers, but the phone is dead. Steve is mildly stressed from his experience and has a quick smoke to clear his head. Baker is the only one that picks up. Grateful for your mercy, he gives you access to the black market and a new hideout, as he lies low and hides from his former colleagues. You assault Empathetic's restaurant and hold him at gunpoint. He refuses to break confidentiality, but points you in the direction of someone who can. An undercover cop knows where the hit came from, but his cover is blown, and he won't spill the beans until you wipe out the mob he's infiltrating. One hand washes the other. To nobody's surprise, you haven't been receiving the support of a benevolent millionaire. Instead, you've helped a crime boss wipe out his competition. You're the only loose end. Your final objective? Kill everyone, including the accomplice, but not before injecting him with enough heroin that he can't possibly hold a firearm, and writing a dubious letter where your handwriting is visibly different from the rest. Regardless, the courts are paid off, and his crackhead wife lives happily ever after. At the very least, you've kept drugs off the street. Kids will no longer fall prey to Flintstone gummy vitamins, or the dreaded Oblivicard, Booth of the Year edition. I just realized I explained the entirety of Intravenous I to contextualize the events of the second, when the story is secondary and doesn't actually actually matter. What does matter is starting the second campaign on true difficulty, which doesn't mean arbitrarily harder. It means we've intentionally handicapped the AI for every other difficulty to prepare you for playing on normal.
Oh, that's really funny.
Bodies make noise. Enemies notice missing patrols, react faster, and shoot harder. Everyone dies quicker. Bleeding can turn you into a cripple, and you have almost no save files. Just as it was always meant to be. Sean is a normal, Bishonen protagonist living in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Your father needs ivermectin to treat his river blindness, but at $3 a pack for a one-time treatment that will completely cure his condition, he simply can't afford it. Out of options, he decides to become a hitman for empathetic, only taking the jobs that he feels are morally justified. Your first objective is to kill a construction contractor that keeps scamming people by embezzling their money, asking for more to finish the job, and ghosting them when no more can be paid. This is exactly like gypsies in the Baltics. And call me prejudiced, but if it was me, you wouldn't have to pay me. Next, you're told to liquidate a politician who's allegedly involved in child trafficking. However, the hit goes wrong. Confronting the man, you find no evidence of the charges. You've been fed bullshit to kill a rival politician. You back out of a job only to find out your dad has been kidnapped. You're being blackmailed into killing people, and if you don't comply, they'll kill your father. By chance, Sean encounters Steve. Both of their names alliterate to SS, a reference to the Schutzstaffel. They form a dynamic duo. Steve is an infamous anabolic roid hog that single-handedly wiped out free mobs, and Sean has glass bones, paper skin, severe anemia, and he has an inhaler for his asthma. Together, they're gonna find Sean's dad, and maybe, somewhere along the way, they'll discover their feelings for each other. It's worth mentioning, there's light RPG mechanics where you get better at something the more you do it. Lockpicking, load-bearing, reloading, and recoil control for differently sized guns. Steve is combat seasoned. Sean is the equivalent of a polio victim in Treblinka. Naturally, he serves to benefit from Steve's experience, but Steve has only just met him, so you have to build up trust between missions by sparing targets and avoiding bystanders such as civilians and public officials. That's the new feature of Intravenous II. Mixed populations. They're civilians and combatants. Some would argue they're the same thing, but Steve doesn't like you harming innocents. Wait, Steve, what exactly is your fatality rate? Dad might die if I don't comply with the kidnappers, but he's not exactly going to train my stats. And, worst comes to worst, our medical fees have just gone down.
I really love that he explained the entirety of the first game and the mechanics within. Like, there was the progression of how to explain the game, thus leading into 2, because 2 clearly is building off of 1, and thus going into the whole, like, oh yeah, now we have a mixed population system, and thus you understand from his explanation of the first game. I can agree with him. I can agree with him saying that the first game is necessary. And once again, I do love that the dev is remaster the word that I would use, remake 1 in the engine of 2 to be able to play. That's I have a lot of respect for this.
Sean takes the blackmail contracts and fumbles them, while Steve takes side missions to investigate their identity. Between missions, you return to your incel warehouse, where there's nothing to do except knock out lights with a soda can and watch whatever's on TV.
Boy, shut up, please. You dear boy. Boy. Bloody satisfaction, you dear boy.
What's happening?
Boy.
After rescuing your dad, he's also in the hideout, so you can continue to disappoint him. I freed you, Papa. You're my captive now. We give him control of the TV, and he's pretty happy about that. However, he doesn't realize you can skip adverts and watches them in their entirety. Most parents would be like, let go of grudges. Come back, my boy. Your dad just encourages you. Honestly, he doesn't even mind that you're a hitman. Things really are different in Poland. Life has no value because death is meaningless. You just respawn at the nearest Biedronka. Anyway, we find a politician.
What is a Biedronka?
Responsible for these shenanigans and put him down. Sean cries softly from realizing it's all over, but his face stings from a lip filler. Instead of planting a kiss, Steve wraps Sean in his bear-like embrace, and they get married. The end. Mechanically, there's a lot to love about this game. Every system blends in on itself, and once you understand the enemy AI, it becomes a beautifully controlled chaos. Enemies don't know where you are. Where they think you are is your last visual sighting and any source of noise. For example, I could kill the lights, shoot at a group, and jump out the window. As a second group loops around to flank me, they're hit by blind fire from a first. If they take losses, they'll become more cautious. Instead of following you into your kill corridor, they'll use their superior numbers and camp outside.
Why is this literally better than most modern AAA and quadruple A games? Like, why is the AI this competent when I've seen some stuff? I've seen some AI, and that you wonder how they put the shirt on in the morning. You might wonder how they even function. This is just error 404. Like, that's so cool to be able to see, like, oh yeah, no, cool. Kill power, fire. Oh, well, this is his last location, and they head to that location as you already jump out. Second group, flanking, thus firing on the first group as casualties stack up. Their pattern changes to them being far more cautious. Everything is just weaving in on itself, and it's really cool to watch.
There's a couple of anomalies here and there. If you turn off a light in an occupied toilet, the guy gets suspicious, turns the light back on, and continues shitting. But generally, it's incredibly competent. Both campaigns are sick. There's a reason this game is so highly rated. It's not that long and very replayable. The writing is serviceable, but it's never the focus. Although, at one point, Sean does swallow a GPS tracker, and that's relevant to the story, so that's pretty cool. I knew a guy who did something similar, except instead of a GPS, it was other men's semen. I could go on for another 10 minutes discussing every loadout, every weapon, and whether an infrared laser combined with a 9mm caliber conversion is worth the money. The short answer to which is yes. To save you the time, the optimal build is to go fully unarmed with one taser and electrocute your testicles. In summary, it insists upon itself. 0 out of 10. In all seriousness, this is a game with a microphone slider, so you can attach a $1 Xbox clip-on microphone to alert the entire level.
That is so fun, actually. I love this.
It's amazing. I thoroughly recommend.
Is that a streamer trap? Is it enabled by default to be able to, oh, how are we going to stream this funny game? And then you're like, oh, he's right around the corner, thus, exclaiming something, and then suddenly everyone's converted. Is that a streamer trap? Because I would love that if so.
Intravenous II, which will be going on a 33% sale. And I doubly recommend the remaster DLC, which is probably on a 20% discount. Together, they come to about $22 or the price of 6 packs of Marlboro Red here in Bosnia. I've already put 60 hours into this. It's worth it. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned. A warm thanks to the many members of the Merchants Guild, generously funding and bankrolling these videos. You're all truly wonderful. Have a good one.
What a really cool video. I actually really loved this. I've actually bought the past couple game season videos on. I bought Path of Acra because he did a video on it. I also bought Prey because I've never played Prey. So, this was a really good review. I like how he built off the first game going into the second game. It made a lot of sense the way that he did it. And, this looks like a very competent game. This is more competent than the quote-unquote premier games we're supposed to be getting. We know AAA and quadruple A is kind of, a crack of it, right? We know that AAA, quadruple A, if anything, is a detriment as a label more than a benefit at this point. But, this is competent. This comes across as incredibly well built, incredibly well developed. All the systems weave in on each other, and all the systems have their own intricacies and nuance, right? Sure, the door is deceptively creaky, but, it does make sense if you're slamming into it. If you're just opening it, sure. I don't know. There's a lot to love about this. There's a lot to like about this. Is it something that's up in my alleyway? I don't really know. I might give this a play at some point, but this is cool. This looks like a quality game and a quality product, and I really like that Seth put a video out on this, because I would never have known this existed otherwise. This is actually really cool. This is amazing, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. Hopefully you did as well. It had its usual brand of SsethTzeentach humor as well, which I did thoroughly enjoy. I thought it was super cool. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. Have you played it? Do you intend to play it? Do you intend to pick it up because Seth did a video up on it? I think that this was... Dude, this was so cool. I miss when games were like this. More games were like this. I missed when games were art. I missed when games were... were they necessarily always bug-free? No. It's why, exploits and speedrunning and stuff, especially glitch runs make why they're a thing. But, the presentation of this is great. The replayability seems there from the skill system as well. Game seems competent. Game seems like it feels good to play, which is just fantastic. There's a lot to love about this from seeing this. I'd be very curious to see if the game holds up to its own weight. My backlog is already pretty extensive as is, so if I got to this, it probably wouldn't be for a hot minute. But this is just... I'm actually super gushing about it because it looks good. it looks good to play. It looks like the systems are competent. It looks like the dev took his time to be able to make this, as well as redoing the first game, right, with the DLC. Yeah, I would say this is good. I would say this is great. This is a banger video by Seth as well. I don't know if there was an ad read in here, though. I don't remember an ad read at the very least. So, I'm not sure about that one. But, yeah, because I didn't have to rate an ad, or at least I don't remember rating an ad. But, yeah, let me know what you thought about this game. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if this is something you're going to pick up. And it has a lot of... he has a lot of people in the Merchants Guild. I think that's super cool, actually. Because he really does put on a lot of good work. I mean, he's absolutely influenced me. I said the funny. He's absolutely influenced me to pick up some games. A Warlords Battlecry 3. Tried streaming it once. It was having issues with OBS, so I couldn't actually get that to work. I'll have to try it again at some point, in some way, shape, or form. Because that shit looked like it went hard. So, it's always good to see a new Seth video. Thank you, Seth, for putting out such an awesome video. Oh. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for allowing me to have your eyeballs for about a half hour. And I will see you in the next one.